All right, SEC. Y'all are once again on the same page here.
Yeah.
And I'm on the different page, but I'm going to make y'all go first this time. Who do y'all have winning it?
I picked Georgia.
Over who in the conference championship? Do you know?
I think I'm going to end up picking Texas. I think I'm going to have Texas with one loss, and it's going to be at Georgia. And let me double check that just to be sure that's how I see it playing out.
Unfortunately, Texas is losing week 14.
Yeah, I do not see Georgia winning. I don't see Texas losing any of the games other than at Georgia. But I do not see them winning that game. I've got Texas, Georgia. Georgia goes 2-0 yet again. But yeah, the Georgia. One of our key points when we did the Texas preview was, can they topple the big dogs in the SEC? And my answer to that question was no.
Sure.
But I also, did you see this comment talking about the SEC championship, JP? We had someone in our comments have Texas lose to 4 games. They lost to Ohio State, Georgia, A&M, and one other team. And
Oklahoma.
No, it was
just those.
It was those 3, and
Oklahoma.
then they lost out. No, they lost to Alabama in the conference championship game. So they went 9-3 in the regular season, 6-2 in conference play, and then lost to Alabama. Which I told them, I was like, I don't think that's possible because
It's possible.
Georgia would have to lose 3 conference
Georgia would have
games.
to lose 3 conference games for that to happen.
But it is possible.
That's possible.
It is possible. Unlikely is what I think I probably should have said. I don't know if I said possible or not. Talk about your pick, Georgia.
Yeah, I've got the Dogs, 11-1 this year. For me, it's just I really like their schedule. I like the way it works out for them this year. Hosting Texas, hosting Alabama, hosting the school up north. The Georgia Tech game, although it holds no impact on the conference, is in a neutral site, which is arguably a home game for Georgia because they play there once a year, if not twice a year. And in recent history, it's been twice a year.
Wait, where is it?
At Atlanta.
Yeah.
In Mercedes-Benz. The Tennessee game was one that scared you, 3 months ago, 4 months ago. But now that Nico's gone at Tennessee, they should have no fear. And they really should have had no fear anyway going into that game. I think the Georgia-Florida game is big for them this year. I have them losing that game. I think Florida finally wins the Georgia-Florida game in Jacksonville this year with DJ Lagway. But I got Georgia going 11-1, and I have them beating South Carolina in the SEC championship game this year. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now because now this will be put in 2 different videos, and I want this to be in 2 different videos because I like this take a lot. I just think this year I really expect one of the star quarterbacks that isn't in that top tier of the top 3 teams in the SEC to lead their team to the SEC championship, maybe, but more specifically lead them to the playoff. And that would be Lenore Sellers,
Nussmeier,
Garrett Nussmeier, DJ Lagway,
Mateer.
John Mateer. I think one of those guys is just going to do it. I don't see a route where all of those teams cannibalize themselves or they just have terrible seasons like the season Oklahoma had last year, the season Florida had 2 years ago. I think one of those guys is just going to lead the team and lead them to the conference championship. I have South Carolina losing it to Georgia and then making the playoff because the loser of the SEC championship is going to be in the playoff regardless of what happens. South Carolina is the pick for me, but that could be interchanged. I think that very easily could be interchanged with Florida, given their non-con schedule. Getting to play Miami helps them a ton. And then getting to play Florida State. If Florida State were to be anything at the end of the year, that's another marquee win. So even if they were a 2 or 3 loss SEC team, they very easily could be in the playoff. Oklahoma, everyone's really high on, or a lot of people are really high on them. As I could see it happen. And then LSU's the most likely of all of that. And I think they've got the schedule that pans out for them. But I'm going to pick, hopefully, future Saint. Although right now it's not looking good. I need him to actually be bad this season. Because right now he's trending to be the number 1 overall pick.
Lenore Sellers.
And we're not going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. I'll go ahead and guarantee that.
Can always trade up.
We don't have the capital to trade up,
Fair
I don't
enough.
feel like. Unless someone wants Tyler Shuck, which he could play that himself into that
You could have a
conversation.
1,000-yard season from Olave and move him.
Yeah. I don't
Go
think
like-
Olave is
Go like the Panthers.
viewed that highly. But South Carolina is my pick for that. I think it's just impossible that one of them, because I am high on all of them. I think all of them are really, really good and have the chance to be really, really good this year. I think it's really hard for one of those teams to not carry their team to the playoff. The conference championship, I think, is going to be tough because Texas and Alabama should be in there. I think it would be really hard to say that
Can we get
they are in there with Georgia, that two of those three aren't in there.
Yeah.
I have them a step behind South Carolina, and they're only not there because they have two conference losses.
That's what I was going to ask. What was the win?
They're all 10-2. I
Okay.
have them all 10-2, but South Carolina is 7-1, with one of their losses being to Clemson at the end of the year.
Sure.
So yeah, South Carolina won the tiebreaker with Texas actually at 7-1 each to make the SEC championship. But I have Georgia winning the conference. All that said,
I like Georgia. I think I have Georgia in my playoff. I'm a little worried about Gunnar Stockton's ceiling, and while Georgia doesn't need high-profile QB play to be great, I think there's a couple matchups where they will find that like having the much worse quarterback is going to hurt them. You know, if they find up in a game with Lenore Sellers, and Lenore Sellers is finding ways to extend plays and make plays for his team,
absolutely.
and Gunnar Stockton can't do that. Or even if Ty Simpson ends up being really good, or Garrett Nussmeier, or something like, or Arch Manning, is just like, you know, at some point having the much worse QB on the field, I think is going to come back to bite them. I have Alabama winning the SEC championship. I think their defense is so talented, and then combined with their offense that I think is going to be really good again. I think we're going to see more of a Kalen DeBoer, Washington-type offense, throwing the ball all around, being really aggressive on fourth down, just going for the throat at all times. I love that, and I think we're going to see it a lot more this year. Combined with that defense, shoring up the run, I think they're going to be really tough to beat this year. I love Kalen DeBoer. That's a well-known fact, and so I'm just kind of banking on that.
Yeah.
To like Alabama's going to be back this year.
The one thing I will say, after we did our Ty Simpson discussion during the Alabama preview, I went back and watched his tape, and I really wish I'd watched it beforehand because I was kind of underimpressed. Just he played 3A football,
Yeah.
and he was just so much bigger than every guy out there. I mean, some of the guys out there look like they were like 5'9", 130 pounds, and they were
Sure.
playing like linebacker. And so his arm, he just had, there were just so many open throws. I didn't see him make a lot of tough throws, which that's not entirely his fault, but there just wasn't a lot that stood out to me as like, yes, this is the guy. He's like 6'1", 6 foot. He's not big. So I've just like, I'd push back a little bit because you just said that you think it's going to hurt Georgia not having the best quarterback on the field at some point. And I wonder, is Alabama going to get hurt the same way? Because we don't know about Ty Simpson yet. And watching his high school film, because we don't have a lot of college film other
Sure.
than when he got benched in the USF game, just wasn't super impressed.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable in saying that I expect Ty Simpson to be a better quarterback than Gunnar Stockton, and at least be competitive in the sense of like Gunnar Stockton, I think, is going to find himself in matchups where he's considerably the worst quarterback, and I think Ty Simpson can at least close that gap. I'm not saying I think Ty Simpson is going to be the best quarterback in the SEC,
Yeah.
but also I love Ryan Grubb's offense, what he did at Washington, what he did last year at Seattle. I think he's really good at scheming up easy throws for his quarterback and making things really easy for them and really simple. Now it's really nice to have a QB like Michael Penix that, you know, all of a sudden will just dot someone up down the sideline, but they don't necessarily have to have that to be really good, in my opinion, in that offense. So that's why I'm not too concerned about it. I'm not going to say there's zero concern because we haven't seen him start, and we've seen so many great quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When they get into the starting role, it just doesn't click for them. So I'm not going to say there's zero concern, but I'm not terribly concerned.
This is the year of concern. There's literally
Sure.
like maybe 3 teams you could say there isn't necessarily a lot of concern about them. Clemson, Penn State.
Yeah.
I think
Are you saying just quarterback or in general?
like in general.
In general, okay.
Clemson, Penn State, Texas, I would say, are the
Texas,
three
I
biggest,
think-
like, no huge
I think
concerns.
LSU's like a step behind in that conversation because we've seen Nussmeier start already, and he was really productive last year. Yeah, this is the year of questions.
Yeah.
Alabama's got that. I think in Ty Simpson. The question about him for me is, I wonder how he'll do throwing the ball down the field deep. That is was a big part of Washington's offense.
Correct. They're going to take shots.
When they made the national championship game, and I haven't seen enough of them to know whether or not he is great at that, I think he's good at it. I think he's great right now, 20 yards and in, and I think that's going to help them a ton. I agree. They're going to be really aggressive offensively. I think they're going to surprise people in that way, but they're going to rely on defense, I think, more often than not this year. And I'm not lowering them. I have them going 10-2. I just have them losing
someone
two conference
has to
games.
lose. Correct.
And someone's going to be left out of Alabama, Texas, and Georgia. That's guaranteed. For me, I have two of them being left out. But those teams are going to make the playoff if they get to 10 wins, pretty much guaranteed.
Oh, for sure. And yeah, you are right, Tucker. Like high school, that was 3 years ago, I think, for him. I think he just finished his redshirt sophomore year. So it was forever ago, but it's also all we really have to go on.
Yeah. The only other tape is the game at South Florida, which he was not great in. But it's...
I think it was a tough spot.
That was
for him
2
to
years
find
ago
himself
as
in.
well.
Yeah.
That was under a completely different coaching staff, a completely different offense, a completely different, way of life. This is I think this is the big thing for people that need to grasp this, and they haven't grasped it yet. It's a completely different program with Kalen DeBoer. This is not Nick Saban's Alabama. They're not going to be like that. Now, defensively, they're elite, like Nick Saban teams. But offensively, it's completely different in my eyes.
Agreed.
And I think that could help Ty Simpson a ton this year. They did not have necessarily the weapons that year. And also, it's just he was a lot younger, and he wasn't ready, clearly. So they had to go with Jalen Milroe from there. I think he's developed a ton since then. I'd be surprised if he wasn't good this year. And I also would think, even if he is bad, and he has a really, really bad start to the Florida State game to open the year, they got two options right behind him that I think are just as good in Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, which you can pick up on.
Keelan, there's no I.
No Keelan?
No, there's no I.
Okay, Keelan Russell. Did you want to touch on either?
That's exactly. I was just gonna say you have Keelan as a 5-star.
Yep.
I'm not sure about Austin Mack. He's a transfer.
He's a transfer from Washington.
He's been in the system a long time.
So,
I think the fact that they brought him along with is a huge credit to what he can do. And that's a similar thing I'm going to say about Ty Simpson. I'm reading into it a lot, but the fact that he's still here through the coaching transition, sticks around for another year after not being a starter behind Milroe, in my opinion, I think DeBoer has a lot of trust in him, and they've had good communication kind of behind the scenes and in terms of you're our guy. This is what we expect from you, and we have a lot of confidence that you can do that. And so stick it out. Don't transfer, because he could have immediately transferred and got a chance to start last year somewhere else, or could have transferred this offseason somewhere else and started. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah,
there is no concrete evidence of that. That's just reading between the lines.
They're deep at quarterback and everywhere else.
To speak on Austin Mack, he was actually the guy who came in for Jalen Milroe in the Mercer game at the end of the year when Milroe wasn't playing anymore because there's no reason to hurt him.
Yeah.
Austin Mack came in, not Ty Simpson. And Austin Mack, I thought, had a really good chance to be the starter this year. Didn't pan out in camp, and they went with Ty Simpson. But I think he's, to be honest, I think he's more athletically gifted than Ty Simpson. But quarterback isn't just about being an athlete. It's about what goes on up here. We've seen that with Anthony Richardson right now in the NFL. That's your prime example of it. So Ty Simpson clearly, I think, has more going there. But Alabama's going to be good. The defense just raises their floor so high this year.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest, is DeBoer the right guy for the job this year? Because last year's a big transition year. This year with the defensive talent, if the defense isn't good, that's a clear coaching issue. If the offense doesn't click again, okay, you're starting to get more of your guys in. That's more of a coaching issue.
It's almost and it's not the same as Hugh Freeze, but it is the same thought process of this is your you're starting to put your thumbprints, your handprints all over this, and if it doesn't shake out, then it's on you.
Correct.
And that's kind of the same thing that Auburn and Hugh Freeze are going through right now, where it's bro, you've got 3 years of recruiting under your belt, you've got your guys in the building, you've got your 5-star, 4-star transfer quarterback. If you can't make it work,
that's on you.
This is on you now.
Yep,
sure.
So it's the exact same for DeBoer and Alabama this year.